So we've talked about the various components of the connective tissue in a previous video, and today we're going to be focusing on the protein fibers. And there's three types of them. There's the collagen fibers, the reticular fibers, and then there's the elastic fibers. So let's get into the overview of these three fibers. So the first of which would be the reticular fibers. There's not really much to it, but just pay attention to the appearance of these reticular fibers. And under a microscope, the reticular fibers usually appear as fine, delicate, branching fibers that eventually form a complex network. And then there's the collagen fibers. So collagen fibers, it differs from elastic fibers by its strength. It's much stronger, more abundant, and it's the thickest and largest. So the collagen fibers, there are four types, from type 1 to type 4. And as you can see, these red letters with yellow highlight, they're not necessarily a function of these collagen fibers. They're just a way you can use to relate to the function of the place where you can find these collagen fibers. So let's take type 1, for example. So type 1 is the strongest collagen fibers, and you can imagine them as strong metallic cables. And these strong metallic cables can withstand high tensile stress. So where can you find these strong metallic cables? Well, you can find it in the skin dermis, the tendon, the ligament, the fascia, the fibrocartilage, the joint capsules, and the perichondrium. Now let's move on to type 2. So type 2, you can relate where the collagen fibers can be found with pressure and flexibility. So we're talking about the elastic cartilage, where you can find in your ear, the hyaline cartilage at the end of your long bones, the virtuous body of the eye, the epiglottis, the flap in your throat, even the matrix of the cartilage as well belongs to type 2. And then there's type 3 of collagen fibers, which it usually forms supporting meshwork. So you can find them in smooth muscle cells, adipocytes, nerve fibers, and blood vessels. You can also find them in organs such as liver, lymph nodes, and bone marrow. And finally, we have type 4 of collagen fibers, which you can find in the basal lamina of the basal membrane. And finally, we have the elastic fibers. Now, when we're talking about the appearance of elastic fibers, in reality, when you can still find it in your body, it's straight. But when we are looking at under a histology slide, because we need to process the elastic fibers so we can view it underneath a microscope, the straight elastic fibers now becomes wavy after histological process. And more regarding the appearance is that it is thin, fine, and you can usually find it in single fibers. And to relate to the elastic fibers regarding its function is usually for stretching. Now, where can you find these elastic fibers? You can find them in the large diameter arteries, the aorta, the pulmonary trunk, and the common carotid and primary branches of the aorta. And that concludes the protein fibers for the connective tissue.